Okay, guys and gals, today we're going to be joined by Mr. Greg Lavern, teaching professional out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, good friend of Gotham Golf Blogs, and the protege of Mr. Moe Norman. How are you, Greg?
I am good, Ralph. How about you?
Good. It's always good to talk to you, Greg. All right, Greg, so some of our readers aren't really familiar with your background. So why don't you start by telling us about yourself? You know, tell us who you are and where you come from.
Well, my name is Greg Lavern, and I spent many years with Moe Norman when I was a young professional. I started off my career at Weston Golf Club. I worked for Gord Delat, who was the head professional there. I started in the back shop and cleaning clubs, and then I moved up to probationary assistant. I served an apprenticeship of 6 years in the CPGA. After Weston Golf Club, I went to Maple Downs Golf Club to finalize my A card. In between that, I had worked for Al Balding at the National Golf Club. In 1979, I passed my A exam and went out to Calgary. I served as an associate professional there and then moved back to Ontario and played the local events on the Canadian Tour. From there, the year later, I went out to Hillcrest Sports Center in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and I was the head professional out there, and I ran a 1,000-member golf club. I had finished there in 1989 and went on to school in PEI, where I served for four years and achieved a Bachelor of Arts and a diploma in public administration. That's a bit of my background as far as the golf goes. During that period of time, from the 70s right through to the early 90s, I had spent quite a bit of time with Moe Norman.
Some of the Canadian greats that you've encountered along your way. A lot
Sure.
of the, we're here stateside in the United States, and many people have never heard of Al Balding. Let's talk about your experiences with Al.
Well, I started working with Al at the National Golf Club when it first opened, the very first year, actually, when Bill Bleckman took the golf club over. It was the old Pine Valley, and they converted it into the National Golf Club. I was the first one to work there with Al, along with a fellow named Mike Hogan, who was a really good amateur that Al took a liking to. So really, between the two of us and Al, we started the National Golf Club off.
Irv Lightstone, am I correct?
Yes, I worked for Irv at the Maple Downs Golf Club. My last 2 years actually as an apprentice before I moved on to Calgary. I worked for Irv, and he was a great guy to work for in the golf business. He had a lot of experience, and he spent a lot of time in his earlier years with Moe, actually, as an amateur. He was a Canadian assistants champion, too, Irv was. And, of course, he became a club professional, and he concentrated on the membership and that. It was great working for Irv because we would, do our duties and that as assistants and look after the membership. And then when it was late afternoon, we would always go out and play. We'd either play with a member or we'd team up together and always go out and play 9 holes, or 18 if we got it in. But a lot of stuff. Irv was very good around the greens, and that was one of his strong suits was his putting. He could make it from anywhere on the green. He was really good with the short stick.
What about Knudsen? You had any experiences with George?
Yeah, I actually met George at Maple Downs. Irv used to have a golf tournament called the Maple Downs for Crippled Children. It was a pro-am, and he invited the very best players in Canada. So they were all there. Like Knudsen was there. A lot of the really top-notch tour players, Bobby Rose, there was Dave Barr, different ones, that came in to play. I finished first and second in that tournament, and that's where I sort of met George. He sort of took a liking to me there, when I finished. But as far as my relationship with George, it was at the National Golf Club. I practiced with George quite a bit, actually, because I was there also before with Al Baldy. So, he knew of me. So I practiced with him and had a chance to ask him quite a few questions about the swing and that type of thing. And he knew of my relationship with Moe all the time, too, that Moe was teaching me. So.
Can you step back just a bit there?
Sure.
There you go. Only catching your eyes, and we were only catching your eyes there for a while. Okay, so let's get into Moe Norman just a tad. How did you guys meet?
Well, we met in 19, had left for the States from the Weston Golf Club. Actually, Gord DeLatte had written me a letter to come down, and I didn't know nobody. I was just going to work on my game and that, and he gave me an introduction to the head pro at Tomoka Oaks. Didn't know who it was. Anyway, I walked in the shop one day, and I introduced myself, and it happened to be Lawson Mitchell, who was the club professional there. And this is where Moe hung his hat all the time, for many years, because Lawson had knew him from the early 60s right through, where Moe used to come. So I went in, and Lawson took a liking to me. He set me up, and I told him I wanted to practice and play. So he says, yeah, you can hit all the balls you want, work on your game, da-da-da. He was really good to me. And so I would practice, and I just had this thing of I was really dedicated, even like Knudsen knew this, that I would hit a lot of balls and I'd work at it. So I would be practicing in that on a daily basis. And I guess Lawson had talked to Moe and mentioned my name to him and that type of thing. So one day, Moe was on the putting green, and he was watching me in that practice, and he came over to me after I had finished when I was walking, and he asked me if I'd like to go and play 9 holes. And this was in 1974. And from that day that we played 9 holes together, we were friends ever since. And from that time, we went back and forth. I would work in the summers in Canada, and he would be there, and we would practice and play at his golf club at Golf Haven, just north of Toronto. We'd usually meet at Pleasure Park, and then we'd drive up and practice. We'd hit 800 balls, or we'd hit 300 or 400, and then go play 9 holes and hit 4 balls a hole. So we did pretty well the same thing when we'd go back down in the wintertime to the States. We'd be at Tomoka Oaks, and then a lot of the time we'd go over to the Speedway where they have the Daytona 500, and we'd practice there, and then of course we'd always play 9 holes. Later on, Lawson had moved to the club at Indigo. He had an offer there, so Moe decided to go down to Spruce Creek, and that's where we ended up practicing and playing also.
Embrace too many people. He's a very private guy.
No, he had came over and asked me if I'd like to go play 9 holes, and of course, I had heard of Moe, but I had never really met him. The only time that I ever really had contact before 1974 with Moe, and he just knew me as just somebody that he would meet in random. I actually caddied in the Ontario Open for Jerry Prue, and he was in the same group as Moe when we played. So I had an opportunity to see him. But after that, it was really 1974 when I first met Moe and played 9 holes. And then after that day, it just continued, and it never stopped. We just kept practicing and playing, and basically trained me, developed my muscles and everything through muscle memory and that, all the balls we hit. And he taught me to swing and move just like him.
Wow. So he basically took you under his wing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It wasn't just on the golf course. Okay. We also, after the day of golf, or we would go and eat. We usually go to Morrison's, which was a place in Ormond Beach. All you could eat for $3, and we and we used to go there and we'd fill up. Mo used to like spaghetti and meatballs, and he liked liver and onions and stuff like that, you know. But we'd also go to the bowling alley afterwards, because back when Mo was a teenager, he would take a great liking to the good bowlers because he used to set pins. This was in his early days when he played the Masters and was Canadian amateur champ. But growing up as a teenager, he worked in the bowling alley. So he liked to watch the good bowlers at the bowling alley, and we talked golf. It wasn't just on the golf course. It was also, I got to pick his brain and everything, like in the evenings and that type of thing. So really, when I was with Mo, it was totally golf, you know. And at that time, he was into a lot of the mind, okay, where a lot of the guys, he would talk about, like Bob Tosky, Herb Schloss, Paul Berthley. In fact, Lawson was the fellow that set up the first meeting with Paul Berthley with Mo, where they first had their introduction. Lawson made the phone call to Paul Berthley, and then Mo went in and met Berthley. As far as my relationship with Berthley, Mo had driven me to Berthley personally in a Cadillac from Tomoka Oaks. We went to Foxfire Golf Club, where Paul Berthley was the resident pro. And after that, on the way back from to Canada from Florida, I stopped in and seen Berthley for a second time. So I'm quite familiar with Paul Berthley. I had a lot of chance to talk to him, and he took quite a liking to me too, because Mo was teaching me, and you know, he said I have a great opportunity to learn from the very best, the masters. So
Great. So let's talk a little bit about Mo and his idiosyncrasies.
Sure.
Now, what were Mo's clubs like?
Well, Mo always used a forged club, a blade. He liked the soft blades. He liked it nice and soft. He would use persimmon woods. He liked a big block, and then he also liked the shallow one. He used the shallower one more so in his earlier days before I met him. He sort of had some bludgeon blocks, I guess. Fletcher Golf made them and stuff like that, that he liked to use too. His clubs were weighted at E3, and his woods were a little heavier, you know, whatever he liked, usually ranging between E5 and, you know, E6, A7 in that area. I started using the same weight ever since a young pro, and E5, and I still use them now at my age.
Wow. And now he had grips around his clubs that were special types of grips, wraps?
Yes, they were the old Goodwin wrap-ons. It was a rubber company from Kitchener, and he used to get them, and he loved them. What he would do is put them on, and then we'd be going up the fairway and wrapping them on, and then wrap the bottom with some black hockey tape.
Oh.
I had a set that gave me, but they eventually wear out. I wish I could get them because they're the best grip ever made, as far as I'm concerned. Because you wrap them, and they go right down the shaft, and you could go down the shaft and hit little shots and different things. It was they were very good.
And what length were his clubs? I heard they were unilength, across the board, the same length.
Well, Moe's were about an inch longer, I guess, in his driver and that type of thing. But I think he used more like, pretty well standard, But what he did was he gripped down on the club. You see, so he had like full length clubs, but he would always grip down about an inch and a half on the grip.
Interesting. Now, what about? Let's talk about a little bit about his technique.
Sure.
Without getting into too much detail, because what about his grip? How did he grip the club?
Well, he gripped it in the in the left hand, the last three fingers in the left hand, and it would be on the heel pad. Okay, and he would squeeze so that he would draw blood.
Wow.
He wanted that club in there and firm. The left thumb would sit over on the side of the shaft. It wasn't like straight down the shaft. It was over, and it was almost like, I guess the best way to describe it is he felt he was 50. Okay? And so he would squeeze with those last three fingers, and it was almost like he was fisty. You see, that way, when he raised his left wrist high, it would stay firm.
Interesting. So it was like a Varden. Was it similar? What about his right hand? Was it a Varden grip that he used, or a interlock, or was it a claw? This claw grip that these people are professing now?
No, it was strictly the Varden grip.
Okay.
He used that when he met me, and he used that when he won all his tournaments, and when he was the greatest ball striker in the world, when they recognized him. This thing about baseball grip or that, he just did that for natural golf, and then he changed right back as soon as he left them.
Yeah,
He'd go right back down to Lawson, and when he went to the Moto, he'd be using the Varden grip again.
that's right. I kind of figured that, but and then now from a ball striking perspective, now you were with him in the 70s, the 80s. He was a little past his prime, but he was still striking fairly decent, I imagine, and still playing competent golf. Later on, what we got to see of him here in the States, for those of us that weren't privy to his exploits in Canada, we got to see a guy giving exhibitions. It wasn't, as I look at one of the swings I got from the Royal Canadian Golf Association, one of the videos I have here is, you look at a young Moe Norman, it's a very dynamic type of swing. It's a kind of swing I'd like to emulate. And what I saw later on, where he's wearing a visor with a logo and some clubs made up by somebody and using some technique somebody else invented, was not the same swing. Not the swing I would like to emulate. Although, many out there are doing this thing. What are your thoughts on that?
You will notice in the pictures that came out in the early 60s there that you've seen, it was right at the top, just like Hogan, okay, on the backswing. As far as the swing goes, it was one of the best swings. Like, they all have this idea that Moe was just fast and quick. But really, when you look at the motion and the proper sequence of motion, it's one of the most beautiful swings you ever see. We have a disc that we haven't even shown anybody, okay, of Moe. The comparison where it was that I had put online there with us with baseball hats on?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have a disc with just Moe swinging, and it is a thing of beauty. You wouldn't believe it. Unbelievable.
Now you've accumulated all this wisdom, all these thoughts, all the techniques. I mean, you're basically, if Moe had a son, it would probably be you. I mean, you even talk like him.
Well, actually, he did say that. He did say that if he had a son, he would want him to be just like me. And, I'm not just saying that because, I'm on here talking to you. He's told Lawson that and the same thing. And I think it all stemmed from the dedication. And me and Moe never had an argument. Like, all the time I knew him, we just got along so great. And, we look forward to practicing and hanging out and stuff like that.
So now, you have all this knowledge bottled up, and we're going to try to get it to a point where you can actually disseminate this stuff to people. I think it's important that those people that are interested in the Moe Norman type stroke pattern, there's nobody better, probably in the world, to teach it than you.
Yes, I would have to say I'm probably the most knowledgeable on Moe's swing, the way he really swung the golf club. As far as overall knowledge, I have no problem. I put myself up against any of these top teachers that they say are world-class teachers, because I've also had the experience with George Knudsen, Al Balding, who were also great strikers of the ball, and I know the conventional swing very well. There's a lot of things that Moe does in his swing, that can benefit all golfers. Swing that Moe has developed is a far superior swing as far as striking the ball if you want to hit it pure and straight. If you want to hit it far, obviously you're not going to be able to swing the way Moe, but Moe hits it. But overall, Moe is not short by any means, okay? In his younger days and that type of thing, he could hit it up to 300 if he wanted to.
I can imagine that, and I think that he could still bust it out there, and but there's a lot of components of Moe's swing. If you slow down Moe's swing, his old swing, his real swing, not this other stuff that's been out there for a while. If you slowed that swing down, you see it's pretty conventional. There's really not that much. There's a couple of things that are different, but a lot of what he's doing is not unconventional per se. I mean, who's to say what's conventional? Does it hit it down the middle? Then that's conventional, right?
Well, as I mentioned to your question there on the blog, okay,
Forum, yeah.
I just finished answering. This is sort of on that topic. You see, we've had great ball strikers, okay? You could take one like Byron Nelson, Ben Hogan, okay? Yes, they were bowed a certain amount through the ball, okay? But nothing like Moe, okay? Nothing like Moe. They weren't as long. I used an example as Lee Trevino, okay, who is more like Moe, much longer through the ball. Even Lee Trevino said that Moe has got me beat by a mile, beyond impact. And that's what I mentioned, how the left arm and left hand moves away from the side and continues down the line. Now, people just don't understand that what we're doing is creating a pendulum swing here. The problem being is I've listened to these world-class teachers, and they don't know where pendulum is. They don't have an idea.
So we've created a little block there, little subboard for Moe Norman discussions on our Gotham Golf Forum, and hopefully you're going to be able to get it together so where you're going to be able to help others incorporate the Moe Norman components that you learned directly from Mr. Norman into their swing. So as soon as we can get up and running, you will be available for online lessons and things of that nature, Greg?
Yes, Ralph. I had recently, I should mention this, I had a fella that called me up, and I guess he searched the internet and everything. He wanted somebody that really could swing like Moe Norman in that. And anyway, he came across myself, and he sent me a ticket to come out and teach him. So I flew out to Calgary, and I taught him for a week. His name is Tim Lynch, and he had been a follower of natural golf, of stuff Graves promotes and all this type of stuff for about 5 years. I went and I turned him around, and I had to change him completely around and start from the ground up, right from the feet. And I taught him the proper rotation. I went through the swing. I taught him the vertical drop, everything. And even today, he's still hitting it like arrows. And this has been 2 years now, or getting into the second year. But I know the swing inside out. I do it myself. I have the knowledge, and I can demonstrate.
And you're a good ball striker, right?
Yeah, well, even when I did those videos, okay, they were all first takes. Okay, in other words, just stood up and hit it. That was it.
Now let's talk a little bit about the book. What you guys had tried to put together a book there, the real Moe Norman. It didn't quite work out. And what are you going to do now? We're going to rewrite this thing, come out with a second edition.
Well, what had took place there is it was all my original writings, okay, like for the technical part and that type of thing. And then there was some correspondence with Lawson on that, too. And it was passed over to a writer, along with pictures of Moe from '61, which Lawson owns. And, of course, the material that was submitted of swing sequences with me and comparisons and that. Which I did myself, obviously, because I had to hit the golf ball. This was all passed over to the writer, and it didn't work out because he did a lot of unethical things and stuff like that. So the book was on since November 2000, and then Lulu pulled it off because of this infringement or a third party or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my original writings, okay, and the important stuff, okay, and then come up with a lot more newer stuff that I haven't even revealed to anybody. And I'm going to make a superior book and hopefully follow up with a DVD.
Great. All right, Greg, well, it's been great talking to you. And like I said, we're going to have a little block, sub-board on the board of Gotham Golf Forum dedicated to Moe Norman and his philosophies, and hopefully you're going to be one of the great contributors there. And
well, I try my best, because the whole reason why I did the book in the first place, okay, was so that I could raise enough revenue so that I could go and hit the golf ball when I do good. And unfortunately, that hasn't worked out. But maybe on this, you know, get things going, and I can get teaching online and stuff. You know, it would be good, because I would like to be able to put clinics on too for people and show them, you know, what Moe actually did, and I can hit the ball for them too.
I think you can help a lot of people. I think a lot of people could benefit from your tutelage, and we're going to try to get the word out there and let people know who you are and what you're doing and where you come from. And hopefully this interview will be the first step, you know, among others. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. It's been fun. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.